Vampires vs. the Bronx is a new Netflix movie which kind of follows in the footsteps of films like The Lost Boys, Fright Night, Monster Squad to a certain extent. It has some shortcomings, but overall I found it to be an enjoyable movie. I thought the cast was very likable. I thought they all performed very well. This includes the supporting cast. I found that there was a lot of charm and a lot to like in their personalities. I understood their motivations clearly, and I cared about them. I found that the movie was funny, but the humor wasn't overly creative. A lot of the jokes probably would have fallen flat with a less charismatic cast. I found that the movie was shot well, but lacked any real distinguishing characteristics or a unique aesthetic. Visually was pretty safe and unappealing. It looked like every other PG-13 horror movie. It looked like just about any Netflix original teen film. It didn't really have a strong personality, and I feel like horror movies need that to really stand out. For instance, I'll compare it to Monster Squad because I do find that there are similarities between the two films. Monster Squad feels almost 80s gothic. It really does harken back to the Universal films that it's paying tribute to. Whereas this movie, like I said, lacks any real visual identity. That being said, it's not that it was shot unappealing or ugly. It's shot competently, but there's nothing that really drives it home and pushes it over the edge. The soundtrack was lackluster and forgettable, and especially when you have people like Method Man appearing in the film, it left me hoping for more in the music department. I was confused by what the movie was going for, and I'll explain what I mean by that. The movie at first appeared to me as a horror film for younger teenagers and maybe preteens and children who are on the cusp of being a preteen. So I would say like a 9 to like 13, 14 age range is this movie's main appeal or target demo. But I think there are some concepts and some things in that movie that kind of muddle that. For instance, the movie uses vampires as a metaphor for gentrification, which I thought was interesting and is actually one of the movie's strengths. Because it's not overly preachy, it's just there. It's not exactly subtle, but it's not preachy. But I feel like that's a concept that would probably go over the younger demo's heads. There's also quite a bit of swearing and some very, very minor innuendo. So with the amount of swearing and some of the topics like gentrification and as well as youth gang recruiting, I felt like those were heavy concepts and some things that made it too inappropriate to be for a younger audience. And then it made me start to think, well, maybe this is intended for teenagers, which made me kind of go, well, this doesn't have enough bite, pun intended. It doesn't have enough bite to be for teenagers, because I feel like even if you still need to make it PG-13 or 14A up here in Canada, teenagers still need a little bit more. If to achieve that PG-13, 14A rating, I think they could have at least maybe made the vampires bleed green, like from Dusk Till Dawn, or maybe could have really utilized as much swearing as they could, like has push the PG-13 rating as far as you can go, because it felt too light and too safe to be for teenagers, but it also kind of fell in this weird category where it also felt a little bit too mature for a younger audience. Maybe it is very specifically for like a 12, 13, 14 age group, which would be fitting for the age of the main cast. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just kind of using my own my own experience and what my parents would have been okay with at a much younger age as my reference point, and it's not even entirely true because my parents let me get away with a lot. But I just looked at it and I thought that the target age group was kind of confused, which didn't help the movie find its identity. I might be wrong on that though. That's something that I'm going to definitely think about. The neighborhood is really well defined. There's some key locations that you get used to and familiar with that really create a sense of this community, which is really important to the movie's narrative. I think it was structured well. It's a breeze. It's under an hour and a half, which I'm a fan of. I love epics and long movies, but I also have a big soft spot for kind of easy breezy movies that just kind of blow by, and it's just a nice hour and a half to kill, or less than that. So and it's paced very well. So with the short runtime and the decent pacing, the movie just flew by, and it was entertaining enough and funny enough that I didn't feel like I wasted my time. So an above average movie, I'm gonna give it 7 steaks out of 10. Now this is something I want to address because I noticed it myself, but the spookometer is had an inconsistent growth. Now I know that you're all wondering, but too kind to say anything. Hey Ben, it kind of looks like that you shot a bunch of videos at once, edited them out of order, released them out of order, and the spookometer's levels are inconsistent. Well, fools, this is where you're wrong. In fact, there is a time travel element to these Halloween videos that I kept secret from you, and I'm definitely not making up on the spot. And I'm definitely not just saying this to cover my ass cover my ass for a mistake that I'm not willing to admit I made. So don't go back and watch like my last 3 videos, because the spookometer does not increase and decrease the way it should. I'm gonna have a more watchful eye over that now, over the amount of time travel I'm doing, not over whether or not the spookometer is raising or decreasing between videos. Anyways, that's my review. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.